Hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whichever part of the world you are. My name is Kubeir. I welcome you to my channel. This is Ask Kubeir YouTube channel. So welcome to this channel. And today's topic of discussion is for people who have received their COPRs after the 18th of March 2020. Can they travel? Can they not travel? What is happening to people who are traveling? What kind of issues they are facing? What kind of problems that are happening? Today's video is primarily about that. But once we have basically discussed that particular subject, that particular topic, then I will obviously answer lots of other questions as well. And I know plenty of them are going to be about biometrics, FSW scores, FSW draws. But as I said, the main subject for today's discussion is travel for those people who have PR visas which were issued after the 18th of March. During this initial discussion, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you or sharing my screen with you over certain different pages. I will take you through where the order of council came from, where did this particular restriction apply. Then I will take you through the different legislations or different laws or sections of the law that are applied to this particular requirement. And then we will discuss what is happening to people who have landed in Canada in spite of this particular order. Trust me, or rather actually we'll go in reverse, as in first I will show you what's happening. So you get a bit of a glimpse of how serious this is becoming. So let's start first with this particular picture. If you can see on your screens now. All right, there it is. So this was a message that I received from one of the people who have got stuck in this issue. He has a COPR PR visa which was issued after the 18th of March, and he traveled with his family. Now, earlier what was happening is that a lot of people have traveled and they have traveled safely. They've arrived in Canada, nothing really happened to them. But lately, I think it has happened, or rather it has been happening from the 1st or the 2nd of this month. People are getting held up at the airports. CBSA, which is in charge of the border security of Canada, at the port of entry, they are holding back these people. They are being subjected to further questioning. And in the first instance, considering that you were restricted for travel, you were not allowed to travel, the initial reaction is for the border officer to ask these people to go back from wherever they've come, whichever country they've come, they're asking them to go back. But then that obviously, I mean, it's not easy. You've arrived in Canada and you don't really want to go back, right? When you are requesting them, then what is happening is that you are being allowed to enter Canada, but your status has not been activated. So you do arrive in Canada. You are obviously, because you have to undergo the mandatory quarantine period of 14 days. So you are being allowed in Canada. And then you're being asked to report back for a hearing, or you're being asked to report back for a decision. Trust me, it's very, very, very stressful. As you can see from this message, it says, on the 1st of February, me and my family traveled to Canada with post 18 March COPR. We were headed towards Saskatchewan, but the immigration officer did not let us through. He wanted to deport us immediately, but after request, provided an option to quarantine in Toronto and go back to him after probably once the decision is made. By this time, he sent our case to his superior to get a decision, which can be positive or negative, as is obvious. Just shut this thing off. Meanwhile, I have applied for an AL, which is authorization letter. Don't know whether I will get it in time or not. What else can we do? If we are refused, what are our options? Please suggest. We are passing every day with fear, anxiety, and immense mental stress. I can absolutely understand what kind of anxiety this might be. So let's first remove that from the screen. Let's understand what is happening. Where is this coming from? Okay, because whenever you try to understand a restriction, whenever you try to understand the problem that you're facing, it's always best to go back to the roots to see where it's coming from and then try and identify it. So I'm going to share series of different screens for you to understand what we are talking about. Let's start with this one first, because this is where the order came from, right? This was the, let me just increase this. Okay, yeah, that looks better. So this is where it came from, as in the order. Okay, so this was the website. This is the IRCC website. You can all go back and check. What was I looking for? So I've lost it here. This restrictions which were enforced, they were all enforced under the Quarantine Act, and this was under the Emergencies Order under the Quarantine Act. Oh my God, I'm just looking for that particular. Oh, looks like I've missed it. Hold on, just give me a moment till I figure this out again. All right, I was just looking for this particular section. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes when you're trying to scroll through, it sort of loses out on this. Right, so orders exempt foreign nationals who have been approved for permanent residence and who were eligible to travel to Canada to become landed permanent residents on or before March 18th. Now, this is the most important section over here. They are telling you that only if your visas were issued on or before March 18, 2020, the date on which the first interim order came into force, then you were obviously allowed to travel. Anybody after that is not allowed to travel. This is where the order came from, okay? And this is in reference to the order. Now, the orders, again, if I go back to the top of the screen, that is where the order restrictions are mentioned. And just give me... Yes, here it is. These restrictions have been implemented under the authority of the Minister of Health through the emergency orders under the Quarantine Act and of the Minister of Transport through the interim orders under the Aeronautics Act. The orders, again, for more information for the orders, you can visit the particular web page. This is where the order is coming from. Now, if I take you to the other section, and that is what is happening. So what usually happens is that if you arrive in Canada, you will, okay, that's off. So once you arrive in Canada, what happens is that you obviously meet the border officer. The border officer will conduct what is called on the preliminary inspection line, PIL. The border officer will conduct certain routine questioning to ascertain whether you are eligible to come into Canada, whether you're authorized to come to Canada, whether you are a legal individual, your identity is established. After going through those series of questioning, they're trying to establish that that they are authorized or they should let you come into the country or not. Now, if they find out that there is something which they're not happy with, in the sense like there is an issue. Now, in this particular case, what was happening earlier was that this, for some reason, was being let go. So people were allowed to come in. People were coming into Canada, even in spite of the fact that their visas were issued after the 18th of March. And as social media is so strong nowadays, people started telling everybody, listen, guys, I have the visa for after the 18th of March. I arrived in Canada. Nothing happened. Nobody asked me anything. Everything is fine. You guys can also travel. So I know even on our Facebook groups, on our WhatsApp groups, we have had this discussion with so many people. And when that happened, lots of other people who were also desperately waiting to get into Canada, and we will discuss about that, they took that chance. A lot of airlines were not strict at the port of departure, and they let them come through. Once they arrived in Canada, the border officer was checking for their visas and their COPRs. They saw them as valid, and they were allowed to come in. And then they started becoming stricter, because as you are all aware, Canada is becoming more and more and more strict in terms of the border restrictions. Very soon there will be newer quarantine restrictions that will be coming into place, and we will again talk about that in a bit of time. But what happens is that if you are one of those people and you get stuck in this situation, what will first happen is that you will be given, and once the border officer realizes that you have an issue, they will issue you this particular document. Okay, It's called the BSF 536 entry for further examination or admissibility hearing form. Now, this particular form is given to you. They will also take away your passport. So you will also get another document, which will be a notice of seizure of your travel document. You will get two basically documents. That will be the document which is confirmation that they have taken away your passport. They will give you a certified attested copy of your passport for your proof of identity. And they will give you this form called 536. Now, in this particular form, let's see if I can, no, I can't. I was just trying to make it larger. I don't seem to, oh yeah, I have this option, of course. There you go, all right. Now, in this particular form, I'm not sure how clear it is on the screen. There will be these two boxes here. This box over here is for further examination, and the next one is on admissibility hearing. So you will be told whether you are going to be appearing for admissibility hearing or not. And then further down, they will be asked, they'll be given a location, they will be asked to come and report in person over here. This, once you get this kind of a document, it becomes very, very stressful and serious because you do not know what is happening. And I will take you to the sections of the law which are applied for this particular case. So this is the form that you will receive. God forbid if you get held up at the port of entry, your passport will be taken away. You will get the seizure of your travel document notice, as well as BSF 536, which is pending further decision. This is what happens. Now, let's get this out. And let's now come to the meat of what I would like to show you here. And I seem to have lost it. Okay, here it is. Oh, wow. This was not supposed to happen. Sorry about that. Okay, all right, perfect. Sorry, just trying to figure out this sharing of screen. There has been an update on this particular software that I use, and I don't really like the way it is going. Anyways, so first things first, what happens is what I have on screen in front of, on the screen in front of you is the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Now, this is the legislation. This is the act of immigration law, which governs the immigration or process of immigration in Canada. Now, the first thing is that if you are in non-compliance with the act, then if the person it can be inadmissible. A person is inadmissible for failing to comply with this act. Okay, and here it says 41.A. 41.8 it says, in the case of a foreign national through the act or omission which contravenes directly or indirectly a provision of this act. Now, when it says act, it does not mean the Quarantine Act. It does not mean the the Aeronautics Act. It is referring to the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act by itself. So basically, if you do not comply with this act or this law, then it's trouble. Now, what's the next one? The next one is Section 23. Now, this is where you are basically being given. You're being told that you have to go under. You are not being allowed to be finalized. Your status is not being finalized as a permanent resident or as a temporary resident, and you need to come for further hearing, or you need to come, or there is a further observation, or they will need to make a decision. They haven't decided. It is all done under the Section 23 of the IRPA. Now, under Section 23, it says an officer may authorize a person to enter Canada. So you have been authorized to enter Canada, but this is for the purpose of further examination or an admissibility hearing under this part. This is where the Section 23 describes. Now, we go to the next one now. And we've already done 41.8. 43.1 is where, now this, what I have in front of you is actually the IRPR, which is Immigration and Refugee Protections Regulations. What was earlier was the Act. After the Act comes the regulation. And under this regulation is where the application for different Act is defined. And here we'll come to the application of Section 23. What does it mean? Section 23, when it is applied, and then the 43.1 says an officer must impose, right? Now the must, and then the impose the following conditions on every person authorized to enter Canada under the section 23 of the Act. And out of these, I mean, we can skip the rest. This one is where it is important. So one of the conditions that the officer has to impose is that the person who's entering Canada must comply with all requirements imposed on them by an order or regulation made under the Emergencies Act or the Quarantine Act. Okay, now this is what I was trying to explain to you, that you have to be in non-compliance of the Act. And now the fact that Emergencies Act and the Quarantine Act have been included in the regulations. This is a new portion of the law, to be very honest. This 43(1)(e) was not part of the regulations earlier. This has been introduced recently. I think it came into effect once the Quarantine Act started being imposed, once the pandemic started, probably a few months back. It's a new portion of the law, and there is still some understanding of how this will be applied as and how things happen. But this is one aspect that you need to keep in mind. And then the next one is here again, application of paragraph 41A of the Act. Now, again, I was referring you earlier to the Act by itself and how can you be inadmissible to Canada. So that which mentioned was the, and I'll take you back over there. Okay, here, 41A, a person is inadmissible for failing to comply with this Act. And this was the section. And now I'll take you to where the application of this Act is. And that is, this is the application of paragraph 41A of the Act. Now, for the purpose of determining whether the foreign national is inadmissible under the paragraph 41A for the Act for having failed to comply with the conditions set out, okay, in 43(1)(e), which I showed you already, of these regulations, if the foreign national has been convicted, okay, convicted means they have to establish that you have actually been in non-compliance for having contravened an order or regulation made under the Emergencies Act or the Quarantine Act. Okay, the facts on which the conviction is based shall be considered to be conclusively established. Now, this is where it makes it right. So this is where it makes it very, very obvious. This is the law. This is the legislation. This is the requirement. This is the regulation. This is the Act. I do not know how much more emphasis I can put on this. I do not know how I can explain to you. I mean, I just do not know how much more I can emphasize and tell you that this is how serious this is. What this basically means is that once it is established, or if it is concluded that you are in non-compliance of the Act by any of these orders, then you are in serious trouble. Few of these people who are facing these issues, they're already in touch with our team. In case you didn't know, Kubeir and I am an ICCRC licensed immigration consultant. We have an immigration company based in Toronto, and so some of these people are in touch with us. And we are now figuring out with our legal team and some of the lawyers that we are in association with as to what has to be done in such a scenario. As I said just a while back, that this is a new part of the law, and there are aspects of it which has to still be seen how they will be applied. So I am not saying that all these guys will be deported, all these guys will be sent back or any of that sort, because still, as of right now, this is all being, I mean, they still have to go for their hearing. I don't think anybody has gone for the hearing at this point of time, but you can imagine the mental stress, the anxiety, guys, it's just not worth it, okay? Because another thing that section 23 says, and I would like to show you that because that's what, then it becomes very obvious as to how this is. And let me show you this. Right, so there you go. The effect of authorization to enter, and this is still section 43(1), right? So it says, okay, yeah, it says a foreign national who is authorized to enter Canada under section 23 of the Act does not, by the reason only of that authorization, become a temporary resident or a permanent resident. Okay, so this basically means that though you have been allowed to come in Canada, you have no status of a temporary resident and you do not have a status, sorry, You do not have the status of permanent resident. So your status in Canada as a landed immigrant has not been finalized, has not been confirmed. I mean, even though you are in Canada, okay? Therefore, your stress levels could be reaching absolutely peak and you could be really worried. So in short, what I'm trying to tell you, if your PR visa, if your COPR has been issued after the 18th of March, and regardless of what anybody out there tells you, do not travel, okay? It's not worth it. This is just too much of trouble. Canada is taking its border restrictions very, very seriously. All this while, few people who managed to come in earlier, they have obviously gone back and told people that yes, you can come in, but now you can, as you can see, and I've just showed it to you, this is not funny at all, okay? And we do not know at this point of time what the consequences can be or will be for this, but I just showed you the sections of the law. I've showed you and explained to you what sections apply and how they apply. And as of right now, it's not looking very good, okay? We obviously will figure out a way of how this can be appealed, how the decision can be taken up, and so the section of the Immigration Department, which comes under the Immigration Refugee Board, IRB, the Immigration Department, which will basically take care of this. They will be hearing if the person has been asked to come for a hearing, or they will decide. So it is quite possible, and that is what we have been thinking of in our initial overview, that it is quite possible that because this is the new section of the law, and I just showed it to you, 43(1)(e), because all these Emergencies Act and Quarantine Act have been added, because it is a new section of the law, even border officers are not really sure how they should apply it at this point of time. Because if they knew how to apply it, they would have straight away either refused entry, or straight away would have cancelled your permanent residence and told you, okay, you cannot come to Canada, because it's an established act. Or they would have reported you under A44 or under a different act where you know that this is going to go bad. But the fact that they have just seized your passport, they have given you Section 23, and they have said that this is under further observations because they want to review this, I feel that they have probably left the decision to be made by the Immigration Department, okay? And once that happens, then they will have a better understanding of how this law has to be applied. So basically, going further, this could be even more serious, and you don't want to take a chance. So if you've booked your flights, if you're thinking of coming to Canada at this point of time, if your visa is issued after the 18th of March, then don't. And whatever I'm saying about all this is applicable to people who are not in the United States. So United States, if you are residing in United States, then there are certain exemptions that you have. If you're traveling from United States, then you are exempted under the certain aspects of the order. So please always refer back to the CIC website for the latest and updated travel restrictions or exemptions. And if at all there are any restrictions, please do not take a chance. It's not worth it. Okay, I cannot emphasize this enough. Oh, okay. So this was the first part of today's broadcast, where I basically just wanted to go over these things and tell you that this is how serious this is getting. The next one is just let me quickly bring that up before I can. Okay, no, I didn't find it. Hold on. Yeah, okay, found it. Yeah, I'm sure the next one is going to be about the draws, and we will talk about that in a bit. Now, let's see few of the questions that are coming. Yeah, and on the screen now, 454 was the last CRS draw. 4,626 ITAs were issued. It was a Canadian experience class. This already was quite some time back. The draw happened on the 21st of January, and the last draw did not happen. So we will talk about this in a bit. Meanwhile, Instagram is a place to go. If you are not following me on Instagram, you should, because that is where we post our updates faster than any other place. Actually, that goes quite fast. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then you have to go down click on the subscribe button. And the reason why we keep insisting subscribe, and that kind of, sometimes it's very annoying, and I agree. You subscribe, more people add on to the channel. It gives me more motivation to come out and explain whatever I'm trying to explain, because that says, okay, these many people at least want to listen. Because if there are no numbers, then you don't really want to talk. You may as well go back to your Facebook groups and talk over there. So do subscribe to the channel, because then it will also update you whenever a new video has been uploaded. And we will get into the comments. Get into the questions. Okay, let's see. Anthony says, is there any chance for 468 federal skilled worker before August? Okay, now, is there any chance for federal skilled worker draw 468? Now, I will come to the exact scores in a bit, but let's understand what's happening with the draws, and then after that I will come to the section of what's happening with the PRs not being finalized yet and why there's so much of delay. And then we will come back to the fact of why people should not travel to Canada again. Okay. Now, and we will also talk about today. It's going to be a long one session, guys. I mean, I have sort of, cleared my calendar. Sunday, I said, okay, we will have this live. We haven't done it in a bit of time. And we will try and take lots of those questions. And we will, I think there's a good question here. So we will skip this one for the time being. Sorry, Anthony, don't worry, I will come to this question in a bit. This obviously is more in tune with what we have been talking. No, not this one. This one, sorry. Mehope Azim says, free COPR after March 18. Yes, that's a hashtag that we can all go with, and hopefully we will get some understanding as to when that happens. But the reason why, okay, let's discuss about the reason, right? I mean, I also tweeted this. I'm hoping at some point of time, the Minister of Immigration Minister in Canada, Marco Mendicino, or anybody else who is responsible for making these policies and decisions, comes around and talks about these people, the section of people whose COPRs were issued after March 18th, and why they should not travel. Because Canada is allowing international students, Canada is allowing workers, Canada is allowing close family members, even if they have visas. And I understand the family reunification bit. I understand Minister Mendicino I think he was in London just 2 or 3 days back, and he said that they are looking at allowing, or rather bringing in more international students back into Canada, because international students contribute to the economy of Canada. I absolutely agree with that. But so do the permanent residents. I mean, that is the reason that Canada invites so many permanent residents. That is the reason why Canada has such a healthy immigration rate. That is the reason why Canada is one of the top countries in terms of inviting new immigrants to the country, right? So if you are promoting, if you are propagating or advocating the fact that more people come into the country and they will contribute to the economy, then why hold back approved permanent residents? That is something which I haven't been able to get a grasp of. I can understand the health restrictions. I can understand that one of the reasons that they want to restrict as many people as possible to come from Canada at this point of time is so that when more people come into Canada, then the requirement or the pressure on the health services is that much more. And since Canada is already struggling with coping up with, I mean, for example, in Ontario and Quebec, the COVID numbers shot through the sky, right? And they had to then put curfews and lockdowns and stay-at-home orders. Ontario, even as of today, right now, is under the stay-at-home order. So when they put all these kind of restrictions, that was primarily to make sure that the burden or the pressure on the health services, on the emergency rooms, under the ICU, is extremely, it's not there. So there is no pressure on them. Because if, for example, they are flooded in the ICU or in the COVID centers, then they will not be able to handle and they will not be able to deliver the required or the expected service to the citizens and the residents. And I can understand that one of the reasons for that is probably this. Okay, again, my assumption. I mean, nobody told me that, but you're allowing international students. Okay, you're allowing the foreign workers. So if you're allowing temporary residents to come in and they will pose an equal amount of stress on the same system, then why hold back the permanent residents? Okay, so that is something which doesn't marry very well. And yes, so free, after 18th March COPRs. I mean, as it is, they are not. It's not like they are issuing a lot of COPRs after the 18th of March. I mean, I know that there is a huge complaint. I wouldn't say complaint. There is a huge section of people, probably in thousands, who have been waiting for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, 14, 18 months, to get their applications approved. Their applications are held back, okay, across the visa offices. CPC Ottawa being one of the biggest ones right now, holding on to the finalizing of applications. They haven't really released anything. Or even if they have released some of them, they have primarily been for people who are in the United States. And then what happened? People in the United States, they got their PR visa approved, they got the COPR, they got their approval of their application. They send their passports to Ottawa for stamping. And what does Ottawa do? Nothing. The passports have not been returned back. The passports are sitting in Ottawa. And I know of some of our clients, we sent the passports in October. So October, November, December, January. Now you're in the fourth month, actually February, sorry. We are in the 4 months have passed. The passports haven't been returned back. So I don't know what exactly is going on over there, but these are serious issues. So when you're trying to say that we want people to come into Canada because they will contribute to the economy, and then you hold so many people back and you say, okay, these people should not come, these people should come. Why the discrimination? Something which I don't get. Okay. After that, there are, again, I also see, all right, this is another inquiry. So if your COPR is going to expire, what you need to do is raise a web form, inform IRCC, tell them your COPR is expiring, you want an extension, or that they should let you know when they can allow you to travel. The same thing applies for people whose COPRs were issued before the 18th of March. They could not travel, their COPRs have expired. Even those people must, so everybody and anybody, if your COPR was issued, if you have the COPR, if you have the PR visa, but it expired, you could not travel, please make sure and put it on record that you did let IRCC know that you did not travel or you could not travel because of the travel restrictions, and that you want to travel once the travel restrictions have been lifted, or everything is basically the whole situation is normal. It is important that you put it on record. The reason why I'm saying this is that if you don't put it on record, if you don't leave it there, then you never know, IRCC might suddenly wake up a few days later and say, okay, you did not inform us, means you may not want to travel, and therefore, thank you very much, you have to start all over again. So don't fall into that. Please, if your PR visa, if your COPR is expired, please let IRCC know and let them know that you are ready to travel, you're willing to travel as and when the situation normalizes, or once the COVID restrictions have been lifted. Put it on record, use the web form, don't worry. Even if you don't get an acknowledgement, even if you don't get a response, if you have raised a web form, it's on record, it has electronic footprint. Do that, all right? Okay. When will expired COPR get AL? We are waiting from July 2020. I also know, even I wish तुम्हें पता होता और हमें भी पता होता कि what is exactly happening. Only 500 authorizations to travel were issued in 2020. Okay, in spite of thousands and thousands of requests, they issued only 500. Why? I wish there was an answer to that. There is no answer to why. I can understand the COVID has restricted their ability to perform and to come to work normally. I can understand that they did not, rather because of COVID protocols, the number of people who are now working in the office have gone down. I can understand that the work from home situation is not feasible for all aspects of immigration, because obviously there is sensitive matter, and then there is sensitivity involved, confidentiality involved, and everybody cannot work from home as far as this kind of sensitive material is concerned. So, but I mean, we are now almost 1 year into COVID, right? 1 year is 12 months, 365 days, almost getting there. I mean, just a month away. By now we should have figured out what the hell do we need to do. I mean, by now we should have figured out a way around this. You're a first world country, damn it. I mean, you promote yourself to be, up there. So by now you should have figured out what needs to be done. By now it should be clear as to, people just need an answer. People need some sort of an understanding, some logic. That's it. Okay. So if Immigration Canada was to give people some sort of insight, okay, guys, this is what is happening. This is what we intend to do. This is what we will be doing. Then people will be so much more at peace. Then they will know what to do. Right now, people left their jobs. If they were leasing houses, they terminated their leases. They sold their houses. All these things happened. And then suddenly you can't travel to Canada. Now what do? You don't have a job, you don't have a house, your children are out of school, you're stuck, right? And you do not know when you will be allowed to come. And because you do not know when you will be allowed to come, you are in this state of limbo, and it's a very, very precarious place to be in. I'm with you on that, okay? And I hate this uncertainty. And all I'm hoping is that somewhere somebody in IRCC or Immigration Ministry will at least talk to people, okay? Come out and communicate with people and say, okay, guys, this is what is happening. This is what we are planning to do. This is what we intend to do. That's it, okay? You don't want us to come right now. You don't want people to come out into Canada right now. Fine, fair enough. I understand the travel restrictions. I understand the pressure on the healthcare. I understand why this may not be the best time to travel to Canada. There's a lot of pressure on the job. I understand all that. No problem. But at least tell us what is going on. What do you have in mind for us? Is our COPR safe? Is my spot, being a permanent resident, is that safe? Or are you going to suddenly wake up tomorrow and say, okay, everybody who applied before so-and-so date, you will no longer, you'll have to start all over again. I mean, I'm anxious. I'm stressed. I don't have an answer. I'm sorry. I mean, I know I ranted, and I have been ranting for the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes probably. But it's the anxiety and sometimes of the anxiety of whatever I listen from people that gets to me as well. Gopi Chand, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. All contributions are always appreciated. First of all, I commend this video. Thank you. Kudos for the clarity. Appreciate it. What's stopping IRCC VOs from issuing COPRs for Jan, Feb, March 2020 AORs? Well, I just explained, but we will go into this. If your COPR is issued after the 18th of March, you shouldn't be traveling. If you shouldn't be traveling, and if you have a COPR, what's going to happen? It's going to expire. If it's going to expire, what are you going to do? You're going to inform IRCC. If you're going to inform IRCC, what are they going to do? At some point of time, they will say, okay, your COPR is expired. Your medical is expired. We cannot issue a new COPR to you because your medical is expired. So please go and redo your medicals. And I see that on your file, your police clearance is 2 years old. We do not know what you have been up to for the last 2 years. Maybe you've done something. So please get a new police clearance. That is also a possibility. I'm not saying it is in effect today, but that is also a possibility. Now they want you to redo your medicals. They want you to redo your police clearance. So it's an added cost to you, number one. Number two, it's an added work. As it is, IRCC is struggling. They're struggling with the amount of backlog, with the amount of things that they have to do. Add to that this new authorization letters, approval for travel letters, family exemption letters. All this is added tasks, right? Now, if they issue COPR to all these AORs that you're saying, Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, whatever you want to call it, if they issue your COPR, the fact that it is issued after the 18th of March means you can't travel. If you can't travel, it will expire. If it expires, you will ask them to renew. If you ask them to renew, they have to start all over again, or not all over again, but at least they have to do your medical inadmissibility and your security inadmissibility again. It's additional work. Why do that? Instead, don't issue the COPR. They will issue the COPRs once things are normalized. It makes sense. I understand why they're not doing it. And I think this is the better thing to do than to issue the COPR, take a risk of people flying into Canada, getting stuck, getting into all these issues, or people continuing to wait in outside Canada, getting the COPRs expired, and then having to redo the whole thing all over again. So if they're not doing it at this point of time, well, I see the sense in it. And I think there is so unless they have unless the situation has normalized and they want people to start traveling again, I don't think COPRs will or rather they will start issuing COPRs normally. Siobhan says, kids are crying, their dreams dash, parents looked on as liars as we are saying we are going to Canada. I absolutely agree. I feel that sentiment. I'm sorry you have to undergo all this, but it is the situation. I just ranted for a long time on this. Omer says, we got PR visa 4 months ago, not exempted. We landed successfully in Toronto, COPR signed, currently in quarantine. Could we face any issue for citizenship or anywhere in future for traveling restrictions? Okay, good question. So you are one of those guys who took the risk. You said, okay, to hell with it, 18th of March, so what? We will take a chance. We'll come to Canada. So you've come here and now you're freaking out, right? You're freaking out, right? I know that. See, again, to be very honest, as I said earlier when I was explaining to you the sections of the law, how the law will be applied, because it's a new portion of the law, there is a bit of haze in it. We do not know how they will apply the law. We do not know how they will, look at the whole section of the law and say, okay, does it apply only to the guys who we will now catch coming into the country at the airport, or will it apply retrospectively to anybody who traveled earlier as well? Clarity is not there, so I really can't tell you what's going to happen. It will allow it, and your status in Canada was finalized as a permanent resident. So if you were allowed to do that, then you were already a permanent resident. You already cleared the, there was no Section 23 applied on you, and these acts were not applied on you. So you're a permanent resident, and you typically should not have any issues. Fingers crossed. Menon. Okay, my COPR expires 30th of May 2021. I have been selected for a project in Canada from my current organization. Am I eligible to apply for authorization letter? How do I travel as I need to land in April? Unfortunately, having a job offer or having a project or having an important, urgent thing to do in Canada does not give you any exemption. It does not give you any premise to apply for authorization letter or approval letter. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. There is no premise, there is no exemption, there is no requirement which was given in the law, in the order of council orders under the Quarantine Act, which says that if you are a permanent resident, visa issued after the 18th of March, but if you have a job or if you have something to do in Canada, then you can travel. There isn't any such exemption. So unfortunately, you will continue to be restricted from traveling at this point of time. Okay, what if someone has to go back to home country for medical emergency, mother on ventilator? Siddharth, I'm very sorry to hear that. This is always a stressful moment, but if you're already in Canada and you want to leave Canada and go out, I don't see that as an issue. There is nothing which stops you from leaving the country. Lakan says, can rise in unemployment levels be a reason of blocking entry? Well, it is definitely a concern, right? The job market sucks. Ontario is under the state of stay-at-home order or a lockdown for almost it was, I think, 11th or 14th of January, I think. I don't remember the exact date that it was enforced. Businesses are shutting down left, right, and center. So many businesses have closed. Last report I just read this morning was 10,000 restaurants closed down in Toronto GTA permanently. 10,000 restaurants. That is how many jobs? It's crazy, right? Similarly, there are so many other small businesses, medium businesses who are losing money like crazy, and they're shutting down. So yes, job market is badly affected. But is that the reason for blocking entry? I don't think so. And the reason for that is because not all immigrants who come work as employees. A lot of immigrants who come into Canada, they also create jobs, like myself, right? We came, we started few companies, and we have people who are working in those companies. So we created jobs, and I know of several other people who came into Canada and they did not really join the workforce as employees, but they created jobs. Not only that, when more people come into the country, it creates a demand for services. Because it creates a demand for services, there the growth happens, and then people need to be employed to provide those services. So it's a cycle, it's a chain. More people will come, more services are needed, more things are needed, more commodities are needed, because there is more needed, hence more people needed. So it's a cycle. So it sort of goes on. So I don't think that primarily is the reason. The basic reason or primary reason where they are restricted is the health services, the number of beds, the number of spots available in the ICU, how overworked our healthcare workers are. I mean, kudos to them. Those guys are working like crazy, right? And they're putting themselves in the harm's way all the time. So those are the people, and those spots in those hospitals is one of the reasons I personally feel, my opinion, that the restrictions are there. Because if those services will get overwhelmed, right, then they will completely lose control of what's happening. And that primarily, I would think, is the reason for these restrictions. Okay, what else have we got? Aditya says, why didn't they stop issuing ITAs completely? CEC doesn't guarantee all of them are already in Canada. They started with all program draws, stopped again. I don't understand the logic. Well, okay, let me explain the logic to you. Issuing ITAs is not allowing people, I mean, there is no connection between the two. If they are issuing the ITAs today, let's say they were issued ITAs today, that is towards an objective goal to get the number of immigrants that they have. The ambitious plan of getting 400,000 people into Canada in 2021, 430,000 into 22, that is to achieve that goal. It's a long-term goal. If they issue an ITA to you today, doesn't mean you will arrive to Canada tomorrow, right? I mean, it doesn't add up, right? So you need to understand. You get an ITA today, you have 90 days to submit your application. Let's say you submit after 30 days, then you have an average processing time of 6 months. As of right now, I know average processing time of 6 months is not happening. The average processing time as of right now is far, far, far above 12 months. And if you're an outland, an FSW, then it is probably even more. So you will not get your approval until probably next year. And if you're going to get an approval next year, which is 2022, you probably will not fly immediately. You will give it some time. So issuing an ITA has got nothing to do with people restricted to travel, because obviously everybody knows that pandemic or COVID is not going to be forever. At some point of time, we are going to get our hands onto it. We will get this in control. We will sort of get normalizing. But that doesn't mean that you will not do what has to be done for future. Because if they don't do it now, then when are they going to do it? Okay, because it's a long process. It doesn't mean that you give an ITA today, 400,000 people will come to Canada tomorrow. It's a process. So in order to get this process done, they will need to do what needs to be done. So definitely they should continue doing these they should continue doing these draws, because it makes sense. What about Canada visitors visa biometrics, Situ? Visitors at this point of time, I mean, we are talking about permanent residents. They are not able to travel, okay? We are talking about other categories of people who are essential to Canada. They are not able to travel. Visitors, right now, okay, I understand some visitors need to travel, but most likely, if you are a visitor, then your reason for traveling to Canada is non-essential. If it is non-essential, then it makes sense that they are absolutely not going to allow. Visitors is going to be absolutely the last category of people who will eventually be allowed to enter Canada. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. Why IRC is asking for remedical now, even if they are not giving COPR AOR November 2019. So Himanshu, you know how long it has been, right? AOR 2019, you're already sitting for 14, 15 months now. They're asking for remedicals is because they have started looking at finalizing certain applications. There are certain applications which they are looking to finalize. And they will need, so it's not like you will give them remedical forms today and tomorrow you will get an approval. Even that will take a bit of time. And they are already giving additional validity period on the medicals. So just because they are asking for remedicals, that doesn't mean they will give you an approval tomorrow. So even, for example, if you are to do medicals today, which is in February, your medical validity date is already until the February 2022. If they even apply the 6-month extension to that, you are now going into the month of August of 2022. So that's a long period of validity. So, I mean, I don't see any reason why they should not. Rather, if they do this, then it is even better, that because it basically means that they're starting to get around and completing a lot of processes. Jazz Singh, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it, my friend. Why FSW Inland not being processed for COPR? They are being processed for COPR. There is, but it is slow. I mean, I just explained that they have seriously been hampered in terms of their processing times. Number of people in the office, the COVID protocols, it's taking time. They have been hampered. Number of people who are working is less. And yeah, I mean, so basically, if you are FSW, but if you are inside Canada, you have updated them that you are inside Canada, then you will definitely have a better chance of getting your approval faster, sooner than the people who are outside Canada. Okay, so at some point of time, it will probably happen. I'm sorry, Navjot, the number of questions is extremely long, and I am not able to backtrack on few of those. So I'm trying and answering whatever is coming up in front of my eyes. I'm sorry, I'm not able to prioritize them. I'm just answering as and how they are coming through. Bullard, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, my friend. Manali says, do you think situation will improve by May, June? I am November 2019 waiting without any update since then. April 2022 got to know that the application approved. Will the backlog be processed chronologically? Good question. Do I think it will improve by May or June? I don't know. Okay. I don't know is because Canada is lagging far behind on their vaccination program. They're way behind. As of right now, if you at all follow Justin Trudeau on his Twitter account, then you will see that he has said it very clearly that people should cancel all their travel plans. And if he's saying that you should cancel your travel plans, it basically means that don't travel in and out of Canada. And if that happens, then what he's trying to say is that the travel restrictions are not going to be eased anytime soon. So I don't see May and June happening, or other things normalizing. But then again, if it happens, I'll be the most happiest. I would like to see a lot of things getting fine. I would like to see lots of PPR messages on our Facebook group. And if you're not part of the Facebook group, then you should become part of our Facebook group. 150,000 people always talking about things that are happening. Have you subscribed to the channel? I keep asking this again and again. Hold on, let me just put this. Yeah, okay. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because I keep getting these reminders on my screen here, says that I need to do this. Okay. Okay, back to the comments. Okay. Neeraj says, I got closed work permit in 2021. Am I exempt to travel? Yes. If you have a work permit and if you have a job offer, if you have the approval, then you will definitely be able to travel. You, again, always go back to the IRCC website, check their latest travel updates, because they have been updating like almost every week. There is a new update which comes into play. So if there is any new requirement, restriction, then that will get updated. So do check the CIC website and comply with that. But having a work permit, I think you guys with work permits were already allowed to travel long time back, so it should not be a problem. Bhuvan says, I know there is no clarity over when the restrictions for post-March COPR would end, but in your opinion, why? Okay, because there is no clarity, therefore I cannot have an opinion of this sort, right? And the reason, my friend, is that the only time they will start lifting these restrictions is when they have the whole COVID thing a bit in control. Right now, Justin Trudeau just announced, right, about a couple of weeks back, and we made a video, and there was so much of ho-halla about this, that people who will now come into Canada will have to quarantine in a hotel, and there will be a charge of $2,000 for their hotel stay. Ridiculous amount of money, right? I mean, as it is, Canada is expensive. No, I mean, my friend, you have to spend $2,000 for 3 days of stay. Now, people are trying to understand which hotel is this, right? Why is the hotel charging $600, $700 a night? Now, again, today somebody had explained on one of the news media that the cost, this $2,000, first of all, it is not finalized, it's not fixed. And it is relative to the fact that once you arrive in Canada, you will have to undergo a COVID test. This COVID test, which I think there's a gold standard, it's called the PCR. I'm not the health person, so I don't really know exactly how that is done, but apparently whatever is the most trusted COVID test, that is what will be done. And the result for that test can take up to 3 days to make sure, and they will probably want to make sure that the result is negative or positive, then they're absolutely sure about it. So it can take up to 3 days to get your result. So you have to mandatorily quarantine yourself in a hotel for 3 days. The expected cost could be up to $2,000 or more. Okay. Now the cost involves your COVID test, because you will have to do another COVID test on the 10th day after you've arrived in Canada. So so you have the cost of COVID tests, you will have cost of transportation, because this will be an institutional quarantine. So from the airport itself, you will be taken to the hotel. There is no friends coming and taking you, your family coming to pick you up and they will take you. No. So you will be taken, and then there is a security involved. Then there is the cost of managing the COVID protocol in the hotels. So there will be an increased level of sanitation. There will be an increased level of the PPE, the personal protection equipment that people will have to use. I think the meals are included, but I'm not sure. So all this is also built into the same cost, and it is expensive. The services in Canada are expensive. Okay, so that's how it is going to be. So when do I think these things will get eased? I don't see them happening anytime soon. This new restriction of this $2,000 mandatory quarantine, this hasn't come into effect yet. Okay, people said it'll come into effect on the 4th of Feb or 8th of Feb or 10th of Feb. Until now, they haven't identified the hotels, because the hotels have all got to be in the closed area around the 4 airports. So 4 airports is Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal, because these are the only 4 airports which are accepting international flights at this point of time. So all these mandatory quarantine facilities, the hotels will have to be around these 4 airports. Very recently, the hotels have been asked to, propose and bid. So they don't even have the hotel list finalized. It's not finalized. And then you have to calculate the number of flights that come into these airports, how many passengers travel on those flights. All those passengers will have to, quarantine themselves in a hotel. It's a mammoth logistical challenge. So I have to wait and see when that happens. As of right now, I think it will. Now it is being said within this month. Okay, let's see when that happens. But what I'm trying to say is, and to answer your question, sorry about that. The question was here. When do I think IRCC will lift these restrictions? I don't see that happening anytime soon. One of these requirements of putting these additional travel restrictions and mandatory quarantine restrictions was to restrict people from going on vacation from Canada outside and then coming back for the March break. So March break is around the corner. Usually schools are off during that 1 week to 10 days period. And people take off, right? People will usually go to Mexico. People will go to the Caribbean destinations where it's nice and warm and sunny. So flights Canadian flights or Canadian airlines are already not operating to those destinations. And this is their way of restricting people from traveling. And Justin Trudeau keeps tweeting it all the time that don't travel. If you have plans, cancel your plans. So all these are indications that these things are getting stricter, probably will get more stricter, because there are new variants of this coronavirus, this COVID, right? And apparently they are much more infectious. So they're just trying to get a bigger handle on it. And the more they let people travel, the more difficult it becomes. Kunal says, any anticipation of biometric services opening in India for PR applicants? There was an advisory some time back which said that they will include more people whose applications are in the backlog. I think it should happen, because just by taking biometrics, they are not really issuing the COPR. So it's not like they've taken your biometrics, they will issue the COPR. It's not that. So this is one part of your entire application journey. All this while, it was restrictive because of VFS facilities only being able to handle restricted number of people, or rather small number of people, versus what they are otherwise capable of. And because of that, they were issuing very small number of appointments. Initial, their priority was international students. Then their priority was immediate family members. Then they released work permit holder, or rather work permit applicants, to get their biometrics done. I think the next obviously is the PR applicants. I would say anywhere, and I've been saying this, towards the end of the first quarter, early second quarter is when I expect that this should go back into being applied, or rather this being opened up. Subhajit Chakravarti, thank you for the super chat. I know my question is outside today's topic. No, we don't. My topic for today is already done. We've already finished. So I can create before completing 1 year Canadian experience. My 1 year will be on 24th of Feb. Technically, you can. Okay, technically you can create your express entry profile even if you haven't completed that 1 year, and if you are just within that 1 month, is because the system, express entry, is an application management system, which is a dumb system. So whatever you input, that is what it will do for you, right? But it is later on when they actually check if you are eligible or not. And that's a human doing it. That's not a dumb system. That's a very smart human being doing it. So to create your profile, yes, you will complete 1 year on 24th of Feb. Today is the 7th of Feb. You still have about 17 odd days to go. You can create your express entry profile. There is no issues with that. The system will give you the points because it's calculating month to month. It is not calculating date or date wise. Yeah, there is no issues. But make sure if you submit your application, you submit it only after you have completed your work period, whatever you're claiming your points for. Sandeep Kumar says, how is it different from having a work visa or COPR one-time visa? If you have authentic job offers like my current organization, which I am working from past 4 years, is ready to give me on-site, can't not travel. I wish I had an answer to your question. I don't. Okay, how is it different? I mean, all this while earlier, I've been ranting. Why can international students come and why can't PR holders come? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? So I cannot give you the answer to that question as to why that is. One of the reasons is if you are coming here on a work permit, you usually have a job offer or you're already allowed to come and work. So you already have something going on in Canada. The ties are already established. For example, there were postgraduate work permit holders. For example, they have studied in Canada, they got their postgraduate work permits. Now they have gone back to their hometown, home country, traveled a bit, now want to come back. Should they be allowed to come back? Yes, because they already have their life in Canada. They have a house, they have a rental apartment, they have a girlfriend, boyfriend, they have family in Canada, and they just went to travel and they're coming back. Okay, so should they be allowed to come back? Of course, yes. As a new permanent resident who hasn't established ties in Canada, therefore the priority of that person goes that much lower in the list of who should be allowed to come to Canada now. But again, this is my personal opinion, and I'm just trying to understand, the sense in this whole big scheme of things. I don't think I can give you a very good, convincible answer, but again, my personal opinion. Okay, what are your views on Saskatchewan living outlanders and chances of score dropping down? Saskatchewan inviting outlanders. The Saskatchewan does invite outlanders. Saskatchewan doesn't have any issues inviting outlanders. The issue happens is, with all these provincial nominations, provincial nominee programs, what happens is that they have a quota and they have the number of people they can invite. And that is always a fixed number, right? They cannot invite 2,000 people, 10,000 people, 20,000 people. They have a fixed number. So for example, Saskatchewan has about 6,000-7,000 annual quota. And they know that they can issue only so many number of invitations. And that many number of invitations have to be distributed amongst different occupation codes because they have a requirement as per their job market is concerned for different occupation codes. So for each draw, they decide, okay, we're going to issue 1,000 ITAs, or we're going to issue 500 ITAs or 800 ITAs. Now, when they identify the number of ITAs they want to issue, they pick that how many profiles are above a certain score to get 500 ITAs. So the top ranking 500 ITAs and the score cutoff for the 500th profile is 72. So their draw is 72. Okay, it's not that they're trying to only make sure inland people come. It is just that is the number of people, number of ITAs they want to issue for that particular draw. So if there are 500 people over 72 as their score, then unfortunately that's how it's going to be. However, it changes when the number of occupation codes that they want to invite is less. So if they want to invite 40 different occupation codes, now you can imagine the number of people who will be eligible with 40 different occupation codes. I mean, it's going to be a big number. So the score is always going to be higher. But when they decide, okay, I want only 4 IT NOCs, 2172, 2173, 2174, 2175. I will invite only these 4 IT NOCs. Then the number of profiles is less. And because the number of profiles is less and they want to issue 500 ITAs to IT professionals, then the scores are going to be lower or lesser. And therefore you will see the scores of 68, which happened a few months back. So that's basically the logic on how this is done. And so it's not that they don't want to invite outlanders. I don't see that. It's just that when they want to invite people, the number of ITAs that they issue or notification of interest, whatever you want to call it, that they issue will be linked to the scores of at that point of time. Students who lodged their file November 2020 getting PPR. As of right now, we have several clients actually from November 2020 for study permit visas, and they haven't got their PPRs yet. We have written to IRCC. We haven't heard back from them. These were all they were all Jan intake students. Most of them have already deferred to May intake. They are taking time. Even the SDS stream is taking time. I mean, it was supposed to be that SDS is going to be a very, very fast processing. Unfortunately, it's not. It is taking time. And we're only hoping that these guys manage to at least get these guys out in time. It's a known fact, right, that they are struggling. They have to maintain the COVID protocol. They have to maintain the whole situation around work from home or around lockdowns and shutdowns kind of a situation. So given the circumstances, it's a reduced work force who can work from wherever they're working normally, and the backlogs are there. And earlier the backlogs for different reason. Now it's just that they're not able to cope up with the number of applications that are coming through. But I'm just hoping. I mean, as of right now, I haven't really seen a lot of November 2020 getting their PPR. Actually, I saw a few October getting through. So I'm just hoping that November should be around the corner. Ankur, thank you for the super chat. Do you think the guidelines of owner-operator program will be eased out to attract investments? How can we avail our consultation services? Okay, that's a good question. And I shall do that for you. Okay, guys, just gonna put something out on the screen so you can see that as well. Right, so that's the link of our website, askkubeir.com/premium-services. So if you were to go to this link, you will be able to see what are the premium services we offered. If you want to book a one-on-one consultation with me, you're most welcome to do it. The appointments are available. I am an ICCRC licensed immigration consultant. So, I am authorized to give you legal advice or authorized to give you advice on immigration matters. So you're most welcome to check out the services and do that. As far as the owner-operator program is concerned, owner-operator program has been misused heavily. Okay, a lot of people have used that as a way of getting their additional points, but not really intending to set up real businesses. So what IRCC has done, or rather not IRCC, but ESDC has done, is that they have made it that much more difficult. So it is not a question of the guidelines will be eased, okay? It is about you becoming more serious about your intention of actually establishing the right kind of business to get those very important 200 points for the LMIA that will be issued. If you want to start a small grocery store, now, people who are in Canada, they know that a grocery store doesn't have employees. It's only just one person who usually is the owner who's sitting at the cash counter. So if you want to start a business of a grocery store, the chances are you are not going to get a 00 NOC approved on that. Okay, it won't happen, because 00 NOC, if you actually see the knock code, the job duties and responsibilities talk about very senior management role, and that you will be conducting your occupation by delegating a lot of responsibilities to the other managers. So you will not be able to get your 00 NOC approved on a grocery store kind of an operation. Okay, but if you have 4 grocery stores, okay, now that's a different thing. Now what happens with 3 or 4 grocery stores is now you're managing a chain of grocery stores. Now you are on a higher level in terms of you will be delegating it to managers or management functions to different people to manage those stores for you. Then there is a good possibility that you can then apply for a 00 knock. So it's not about easing of the guidelines. The guidelines are pretty clear. It is just that they are now being enforced in a better manner than they were doing earlier. Okay, so it is just about understanding what Service Canada wants. ESDC has a bit of a guideline. I know they're a bit vague in what they want, but people, once you understand what they're looking for and you're able to comply with it, the process becomes very, very simple. Okay. Okay. Why COPR holders from US are exempted, but those from other countries aren't? This is such a beautiful question, $1 million question. The question to which I have no answer. And the reason why I don't have an answer is because there is no logic. I have been asking the same question, and I've been tweeting the same question to IRCC and to Minister Mendicino, but obviously they will not respond to me, right? Why should they respond to me or anybody for that matter? But I absolutely agree with you. Why should they be allowed to travel, and why is it that the people who are outside Canada, they are not allowed to travel? Now, there was a bit of logic which was given to me. I don't agree with that logic, but I will share it with you anyways. And that was that a lot of people in the United States, they are on H-1B or on H-4 or on different visa categories, which are either expiring, or they have filed a petition which is not being accepted, or they are at that verge of losing out, and they may have to leave the United States and probably leave. Though that does not automatically become the reason why Canada should accept them. But the way Canada has relationship with US, with the borders being pretty, shared, they have made that exemption. I have not been able to understand the logic. I just do not understand why people from the United States should be given that specific or special exemption. Trust me, if I find out the answer to this question, I will share it with you. As of right now, I'm as lost on this one as you are. Okay, where is this? Thank you, Gurpreet, for the super chat. Got BIL on 5th of Feb. Shall I go into Nepal for BIL? Wait in India. I got AOR on 15 Jan. My IELTS expire on 18 Jan. Will there be an issue? Okay. So you basically submit your application just in the nick of time. Pretty good. Gurpreet, because you have submitted your application when your IELTS scores were valid, absolutely fine. No issues with that. You will not have any issues. You have received a biometric request letter. Can you go to Nepal? Yes, you can go to Nepal. You can go to Dubai. You can go to any other country where the VFS is accepting the biometrics request. No problem with that. You're asking me, should you wait in India? Should you go? Now, what will happen is, I don't expect biometrics to open for permanent residence application in India anytime soon. Probably end of first quarter, probably second quarter. Whenever it will open, okay, because there is so many number of people who are waiting, the rush is going to be crazy. Okay, there'll be just too many number of people who will be lining up to sign up for those biometrics, and you may face considerable amount of delay or time to get yours done. If you don't want to face that, if you don't want to deal with that situation, you can definitely go to Nepal. The weather is also going to be very nice over there right now. It's pretty cold there, I think. But yeah, you can definitely go to Nepal. You can go to Dubai if you're really in the mood for taking a short vacation. But yes, you can do it. The only difference is whenever it will open in India, and when it will open in India, we don't know. Probably a few months from now. And whenever it will open, it's going to be crazy rush. So you got to avoid that. Meet Patel says justification of knock roles and responsibilities via ideal experience letters is strictly required in the case of PNP, but it is not stringent for express entry. Is this accurate? My God, where the hell did you hear that? it's absolutely not accurate at all. The requirement of your NOC roles and responsibilities is absolutely stringent as far as express entry is concerned. I mean, there is, I don't even know how to sort of answer this question. It's not accurate. Okay, if that's the question, that is this accurate? No, it is not accurate. Your proof of work is so much important for your express entry application. There are so many cases where people have received nomination. They have received their PNP approved, they have received their nomination because the province was not very stringent. Okay, but when the same people using the same NOC codes came to IRCC with the same documents, boom, it was not a happy ending. They were refused. Their applications were refused because IRCC was not satisfied that their responsibilities matched with the chosen NOC. So my friend, it's absolutely not accurate. Amna says, I made my EE profile that said I am ineligible. They said my score is 0. Whether I calculated my score, it is 300. Okay, Amna, there are several reasons why your express entry profile can be ineligible. Okay, and one of the reasons is that you do not have 67 points. Okay, and so what you need to do is, first of all, go to the 6 selection factors on CIC website, check if you do have 67 eligibility points. That's the first one. Secondly, when you are creating your express entry profile, there are several sections of the express entry profile where you need to answer it correctly. If you make a mistake with that, then again, there is a probability that your profile will become ineligible. Okay, so that is what it is. What I would like to do with you people is, okay, so this is our new initiative. We have started this series of masterclass, and in this particular series, what we do is that we will show you step by step how things need to be done. So we did this one session of it already. That was how to create an express entry profile, and unbelievably, it got sold out very quickly. So that's basically me. Okay, a few years back. So we have our next session on of masterclass is about receiving an ITA. So what happens if you received an ITA? Then what do you do? Okay, so we have separate sessions. We have a received an ITA session for Canadian experience class. Then we have a received an ITA session for federal skilled worker class. Then we have another one on how you can create your express entry profile. And we have another session which will deal with only proof of work experience. So in this particular session, we will be discussing in detail the separate laws, the separate sections of the law, which talks about the proof of work experience, the ministerial instructions, what exactly are they looking for in your documents, why do you need to provide that, and if you don't have them, what do you need to do? Okay, similarly, if you were to attend or received an ITA, now what? We will take you step by step through the whole process of, you've received an ITA, how will you complete the forms? When you're completing the forms, what exactly is the information you should complete, you should fill? What is something which you can skip? What is the consequence of the information that is being asked for? What kind of documents you need to prepare? How you need to prepare? What will be the consequence of you not providing the right kind of documents? So all of this, head over to our website, askkubeir.com/masterclass. That's the address of the website. Yeah. And if you are interested in any one of these, this is happening on so first session is happening on the 13th of February, which is next week, Saturday. That's for Canadian experience class category only. Then for federal skilled workers, we will do it on Saturday, 27th of February. We will do another how to create your express entry profile. We have priced it very, very reasonable. It's only for $49 US. That's on the Friday, 19th of February. And then on Saturday, 20th of February, we will do the proof of work experience. We priced this very, very reasonably. And for the reason we did that is because there are so many consultants, agents in India and Pakistan and in Middle East and Dubai who are charging you all kinds of money just to create your express entry profile. They'll charge you thousands of dollars. And once your express entry profile expires, they will charge you more money. So what we want to do is we want to teach you how to do it yourself, number one. And number two, not only teach you yourself, but also to explain to you what does it mean. How do you answer some questions? How do you make sure that you have a better chance with PNPs? What is the difference between primary knock code and the regular knock codes? How can your express entry profile become ineligible for even the smallest mistakes that you do? Once you understand these issues, then it becomes that much more easier to to answer these questions and then tackle them. Asta Shah, thank you so much for the super chat. I am post-March COPR holder. I have got USA visitor visa. I reside in India. Can I go to USA and then Canada? If I get an approval letter, is it valid travel? Well, if you get an authorization to travel, you definitely can travel, no doubt about that. Going to the US on a visitor visa and then traveling to Canada, you have to understand that border officers are very smart. They know what you're trying to do. So one thing which has been already stated very clearly is that if you're traveling from the US, then when you come to Canada, you should be traveling from the US. You should not be transiting the US. So if you're thinking you will go to the US, stay for 2 days, then come to Canada, it won't happen. You may, I'm not saying it definitely will not happen, but you may find yourself in trouble at the port of entry when you come to the Canadian side of things. So if you have been staying in the US 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then coming to Canada, then it's a different thing. But if you're just going to be there for 1 week, 2 days, 5 days, and then traveling to Canada, I think now US is also enforced mandatory quarantine, so you will not be able to travel immediately anyways. But I would suggest not to take these loopholes, not to try and circumvent the restrictions by doing all these kind of things. I mean, as much as there is a huge temptation of wanting to do it, given the circumstances and the things that how Canada is becoming more serious, and in the future, in coming time, it is expected that Canada will become stricter even on the land border with the US. They will start asking for the COVID tests or negative COVID tests before you come into Canada. They will also enforce some more requirements or restrictions even for people who are coming from the US. So that is also a possibility. So if you're coming to the US, make sure you are living and staying in US for some time before you make that journey to Canada. Jitendra says, I have submitted my application last week with CRS 479. What is the estimated MMYY I can expect to be in Canada? will give to plan my life. Okay, when can you expect? To be very honest, I mean, here are people who have been waiting for the last 1 year. There was a guy who had submitted his application in November 2019 and did not get a response. And you have just submitted your application last week and you want to know when it's going to happen. We don't know. Okay, that's the short answer. Expected, probably 1 year from now is what you can expect, considering all things getting normalized. Okay. Mirza says, application approved, still waiting for PPR. Medicals are extended till July, currently in US. Why some are getting remedical requests, some are being extended? Good question. There is a surveillance code called M1 and M3. If you have M1, it basically means that your condition was such that they had nothing to sort of do additional tests on, or you did not have to be put on a surveillance if you were to come in Canada. Usually people who have had tuberculosis or a condition, health condition, which might require Canada to keep an eye on them to see if they will pose a difficult condition or not. Those are all under M1. So if you have all clear, you are under M1. And these categories of M1 were given extensions depending on their health condition from 4 to 6 months. If you were M3, saying M3 does not mean that you definitely have a condition. It basically means that normally you would have been put under surveillance, and that usually happens to the people who had tuberculosis earlier. So if you have condition of M3, then you will not get an automatic extension on your medicals. You will be asked to redo your medicals, and considering everything is fine in your new medicals, you will then be given extension based on that. Okay. Navit says, can sibling considered as family member and provide necessary documents for PR person's entry at Canada if PR issued post 18th March? Yes, sibling is considered as extended family member. So if you have a sibling in Canada, apply to IRCC for an authorization to travel. There is a full, complete process that you need to follow. Your sibling has to complete a form called IMM 0006, declaring your relationship, and will have to get it notarized in Canada. And then we'll have to send you proof of relationship, proof of their status in Canada. And then you can apply through that email address that has been listed on the CIC website, apply for your authorization to travel along with these documents and this information. And then you will be able to hopefully get an approval. Some people have got it, some people have not got it, but in a lot of cases, people do get it. My son, and I know he always watches. So my son, he is now in Alberta. He came through Alberta PNP, and his COPR was issued on the was it 2nd of December or 3rd of December, and he obviously could not travel, though it was approved in March earlier, but it was issued only on the 2nd or 3rd of December, and he could not travel. But because he's my son and I'm a permanent resident, I was able to send him a form, IMM 0006, and we obviously made the formal request for authorization to travel. He was able to get it because he's an extended family member, and he was able to travel on the authorization to travel document. So yeah, it's absolutely possible that you can get that. Is an AL given for primary applicant be sufficient for spouse as well? No, it is only applicable to the relative or the family member that it is given for. For example, if my brother is a permanent resident and I apply for authorization to travel and my wife applies for authorization to travel, I will get it, my wife will not get it, because my wife is not related to my brother. Okay, and or does not, when I'm saying it's not related, means my wife does not come in the included extended family member list, and therefore she will not get the authorization to travel. Only I will get it. Okay, and if I'm the primary applicant, excellent, I will travel to Canada. Now I become a permanent resident. My wife can now follow on the close family member exemption list, because I'm a permanent resident, my wife is outside Canada, she can travel under that particular exemption list. So yeah, there is a way around, which is absolutely legal and fine. Amna says, how people are in the pool with score below 300. Amna, you're mixing up CRS score and eligibility score. Please do not mix up these two. CRS score is different. Your CRS score can be as low as you want it to be. It could be that you might be in a different category, considering you could have relatives in Canada, you could have past work experience in Canada, you could have education in Canada, you could have a job offer in Canada, and your score could be still be low. That doesn't matter. So you need to first check your eligibility score. It should be 67 points out of 100. If you are eligible, then you will be able to create your express entry profile. Anand says, is there any exemption list that will be preferred for issuing an AL? No, there is no exemption list for preference. There is no preference priority. If you are an exempted family member, if you are a close family member of a permanent resident or citizen, you don't even need an authorization to travel. But if you are an extended family member, okay, you are a parent, you're a child, you are a sibling, you're a girlfriend, you're a boyfriend, then you come under the extended family member list. And you will need to follow the process. You will need to email IRCC on a separate email address. You will need to prove your relationship. You will need to get the form IMM 0006, which is a notarized document. I am so sorry, Anthony. Thank you so much for reminding me. Please don't forget to answer my question. Any chance for 468 FSW before August? Good question. And this will be the last one we answer today, because we've already been speaking for more than an hour and a half. My mouth is all chapped and I'm like, yes, I promise to answer this question for you, and thank you for reminding me. Federal skilled worker scores came down to 468, and that was a very, very incredible moment. And we all started thinking that the scores will drop again. And then the IRCC changed the plan, changed the game. Until now, in 2021, so far, and we are already, 38 days into the year, there has been no all program or federal skilled worker drop. Actually, this week, even CEC draw did not happen. I mean, or any draw did not happen for this week, which again brings the question, why did the draw not happen? Several answers to that, none of which I would like to speculate about, but there is a possibility that IRCC was facing some technical issues, lots of technical snags and issues this week. It could be one of the reasons why the draw did not happen, and we probably will see a draw next week. But is 468 possible? Yes, it is possible, of course, just the way it has happened the last time. Of course, everything is possible, right, in such matters. It all depends whether IRCC will conduct draws for all program draws as frequently, like once every 2 weeks that they were doing already normally, and continue to issue 5,000 ITAs per draw or even more. I mean, earlier we never thought 5,000 ITAs was a possibility. Now I'm thinking even 7,500 is a possibility. Why not? For all you know, maybe the next draw next week is a much larger draw, 7,500 ITAs, and all program draw, and they sort of, bring the balance back. But do I expect federal skilled worker draws to happen more frequently or normally, I'm a bit skeptical about that. So last year, I don't know, towards the end of the year, Minister Mendicino, he made this statement, or he was in a media release, that they are looking at ways and means of giving some advantage to people who are already inside Canada. So if you're a worker, if you're a student, they want to give you some advantage so that you can regularize your path. You can find a pathway of becoming permanent residents in Canada. This CEC draw is one way of doing it, because earlier we were thinking they will give them extra points for education, extra point for work experience. Well, all that was rumors or speculations. But the fact that doing CEC only draws definitely gives an advantage to people, because being a CEC applicant, you already have advantage in points, right? Because you're getting those essential, important Canadian work experience points. So you already have that advantage. In addition to that, when it's only a CEC draw, then the number of people in the profile are lesser who are CEC only. So the scores drop faster. Scores dropped from 468 to 461 to 454 in just 2 draws. If there was a CEC draw this week, which was expected, the scores could have gone down to 440s, high 440s probably. But even if it is to happen next week, you will still see the scores dropping down to 440s, high 440s, probably 450, 449 kind of a score. But if it's an all-program draw, if it's a federal skilled worker draw, the score is obviously going to go up. It is going to increase, because it's obvious there has been no draw for almost, last draw was in December, towards the end of December, and there has been no federal skilled worker draw. So the score is going to be up. I think probably high 470s is what I'm thinking now. And from there on, again, from high 470s, for it to drop down to 468, it basically means IRCC needs to continue conducting those draws. And if IRCC continues to conduct those draws, then, and again, with high number of ITAs, then 468 is a possibility. I am not going to, and if you are going to wait until August for that, I am not very optimistic, to be very honest. It's going to be a difficult year, to be very honest, for federal skilled worker candidates. It's going to be a struggle, to be very honest. Scores are going to remain high, especially if IRCC is going to either alternate between CEC and federal skilled worker, or do more CEC draws, which basically means the federal skilled worker candidates are going to suffer with the higher scores. What you need to do is you need to identify if there is a possibility you can improve your IELTS score, even if in one factor or 2 factors, because if you're already at CLB 9 for sure, right? So even if you improve by 1 factor, extra 3 points. A lot of times people think French is very, very difficult, so they are not even willing to explore that option. Now, let me explain to you something about French. French as a second language gives you lots of points. Yes, you need to score CLB 7 to really get a lot of points. But even if you score well in 2 factors, and those 2 factors are speaking and listening, not reading and writing, because reading and writing will need you to be more fluent and proficient with the language. Okay, but it will take that much more effort, because in your writing, obviously grammatical mistakes with a new language are a big barrier or a challenge. But if you're able to score in listening and speaking, okay, you can get 3 extra points in this, so 6 additional points. So now if you're at 468, if let's say you are lacking in 1 factor in IELTS and you improve that to CLB 10, 3 points there. 2 language factors of French, 6 points there. Suddenly you are now sitting at 477. So these are the options. You have to figure out in your profile, where is it that you can tweak. Should you wait at 468? If I was you, I wouldn't. I would rather take things in my hand and go aggressively at it. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for things to come to me. That way I am hoping and praying for luck, and I don't. It's not me. I don't do that kind of thing. I would rather go head on, tackle it, figure out what I can do, make sure I make it happen for me. That's the way to do it. So I would definitely encourage that you do it yourself. You have still 7-8 months to go. Not 7-8, sorry. Yeah, about 6 months to go. You will know in few draws what is IRCC planning to do. Are they looking to do draws again for all program? I doubt it. I think it's going to be more of alternating it, or probably doing more of CEC specific. If not, then I would suggest take it headlong, improve your score in whatever manner you can, and then make it happen for you. Okay. Right. Guys, thank you so much. You have been very, 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 very kind to have joined in. It was a lovely session. I was able to rant a bit, for which I apologize. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like and share this video, because there are a lot of people out there who might find a lot of information we have spoken about today of value to them. And I will see you next time. Take care. Stay safe.